and welcome to New Wave Global. You're watching Unraveled with Marvi Sirmed. In a searing essay for Foreign Affairs, US-based strategic expert Ashley J. Tellis, once a strong proponent of India's rise, delivers a rare reality check. And his warning is not for Pakistan, it is for India. But it would be foolish not to listen closely even if you are from Pakistan. Tonight, we strip away the noise, the theatrics, and the propaganda on both sides of the border to ask a deeper question. Is India truly on the path to becoming a great global power? Or is it chasing a delusion that may unravel more than just its own ambitions? So, what does Tellis says? Tellis argues that India's ambitions far exceed its actual capabilities. Despite 2 decades of US support, nuclear deals, defense cooperation, satellite launches, intelligence sharing, India has not come close, even close to matching China, either economically or militarily. So, Indian dream of parity with Beijing remains just that, a dream. Even by the most optimistic projections, India will not bridge that power gap anytime soon. And yet, India insists on being treated as a great power, at least in the region. It talks the talk in summits, it walks the stage at Davos, it shouts multipolarity from the rooftops while quietly hoping for American support to counter China. Here's the contradiction that Tellis exposes. India wants to lead the global south, championing strategic autonomy and resisting Western dominance, but it also wants the perks of being America's preferred partner in Asia. It wants to buy Rafales and Apache helicopters from the West while refusing to align with the West when it matters diplomatically. That's not autonomy, that's ambivalence. And ambivalence doesn't win wars, it doesn't build alliances, it doesn't secure peace. And now you may ask, why should this matter to Pakistan? Because India's delusions of grandeur shape the security environment we live in. Every time India launches a punitive strike, as it did in May 2025 under what India calls Operation Whatever, the world sees it as an outright violation of the territorial integrity of a sovereign neighbor. Every time it brands Pakistan as a rogue state or a terror sponsor, every time it weaponizes diplomacy and isolates Islamabad, tries to isolate Islamabad on global forums, it does so not just from the position of strength, but from a performance of strength. As Tellis implies, this performance is meant more for Indian voters and maybe a fringe section of Western audiences than for lasting regional peace, or far from being the voice of the global South. Certainly, far from being the voice of the global South, and we must see it for what it is: a fragile performance propped up by optics, not outcomes. Tellis also speaks in his article of India's democratic backsliding. He's not alone. Scholars, watchdogs, journalists across the world are noting the same. Majoritarianism, media capture, suppression of dissent, it all undermines India's claim to be moral leader, its moral leadership. And here lies the real opportunity and challenge for Pakistan. If it stops indulging in hollow triumphalism, yes, India's mask of liberal democracy is slipping, but Pakistan can't point fingers while struggling with its own democracy, while, if you may call it that. But Pakistan cannot cry hoarse about the communal hate speech by Indian leaders while allowing its own army chief to stand on a public platform and lecturing the nation about some mythical and flawed, may I say, two nation theory that divides people along religious and communal lines. This is hollow muscle flashing. It's dog whistling, and above all, this is something far above his pay grade. This is not how you frame Pakistan as a country that is committed to liberal, progressive, and democratic ideals. This is not how you tell the world that you are different from what India has become. The question we must ask is, can Pakistan rise morally and politically to reclaim credibility in the eyes of the world? How can it do it? Not by reacting to India's mistakes, but by investing in its own reform, strengthening democracy, protecting minorities, rebuilding institutions. Only then can you speak not as a wounded rival, but as a principled actor. Tellis reaffirms what many have quietly acknowledged. India cannot match China, even with US support. For Pakistan, that means its strategic alignment with China remains its strongest card, but not one to overplay. As a Pakistani, I would say we must not become a pawn in someone else's great game. Instead, let us invest in diplomacy, in regional peace initiatives, in trade corridors that benefit the people, not just the generals or the greedy elites in bed with the same generals. In short, Tellis says India's power isn't as great as it claims. I would say Pakistan's weakness isn't as absolute as it's made out to be. But both nations are prisoners of their own narratives. This essay by Ashley Tellis is not a reason for Pakistan to gloat. It's a moment to pause, reflect, and chart a more strategic, more humane, and more credible path forward. Let's stop measuring victory by how much the other side bleeds and start measuring progress by how much justice, how much prosperity, and dignity we deliver to our own people. Please like this video if you really like this episode and subscribe to our channel as a gesture to support independent journalism and a nuanced take on world politics, especially South Asian politics. Do leave a comment or question underneath. And if there are enough of your postings, I will do a separate episode addressing your concerns, comments, and questions. I'm leaving some questions for you as a pinned comment and will wait for your responses. Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm Marvi Sirmed and this is Unraveled. Have a good one.